Adriel Lewis with the APAC mobile website, and then Alan Heyman with the Zoo app.
So basically, I'm representing the Asian Pacific American Center, and like a lot of other units at Smithsonian, we don't have a physical space, we don't have a museum, which presents a lot of challenges. But actually, today I wanted to talk about kind of some of the more general existential experiences that we've been dealing with at APAC in relation to technology, in relation to mobile platforms, in ways I think that are very relevant to all units at Smithsonian, regardless of whether you're natural history or art lab. And that's really, thinking about what it means to exist as a Smithsonian entity with the technology that we have at hand, right? And so for those of you who need a little review of what APAC is, we are not a museum. We increase the visibility of Asian Pacific Americans in all of the different units. And so if you work at a museum, our team of interns have probably been there doing a scavenger hunt to see if we are present there. And now that things are moving by themselves, I'm just going to follow the PowerPoint. This is what a lot of people think of when they think of museums. Maybe not in the museum world, because we like to think that we encourage interactiveness and things like that, but a lot of times when I talk to people, they have a similar type of feeling that we get when we talk about web building, right? Like a lot of times the general rules with mobile compatible platforms is like the least clicking possible, the better. The least scrolling possible, the better, right? And I think the problem with dealing with a culture of not touching and not clicking and not scrolling is you end up with a culture of staring, right? And that's kind of the issue that we deal with museums, online and offline, right? Like not sure if people inside the buildings are really engaging the way that we want them to. And then online, we have our woes of nobody engaging with our websites, right? With APAC, we have our website that was like probably, it looks like it was conceived before the internet was invented, right? And we also, we don't really have a lot of online collateral right now. So that kind of gives us an ability to kind of start all over, to build from the beginning. Right now we're working on a new website, and really the goal is to create a culture of doing, right? Using the website as our primary form of real estate as a way to encourage the people who are going to engage with us to know that this is going to be a space where you're not just like stopping and staring, but where you're actually going to do stuff, right? And so with APAC, the thing about us is because we have no space, in the same way we also are everywhere, right? We can be ubiquitous. The problem that we had up until now was that if we didn't have an exhibition at one of the museums, we were virtually non-existent. The solution is for us to be virtually omnipresent, right? And so here's a preview of the new website that we're going to be launching, hopefully next month. It was supposed to launch this year, but shutdown was very fun. And this is being built on MySI. It's approached, we basically designed it with touchscreen in mind. And so this was actually built with the iPad and tablets as our reference point instead of computer screens. Little things that happen from that is, for example, like no drop-down menus, text and images that are easily clicked on and poked at, and also, kind of some stuff that would be fun. And so we kind of went to the other direction from the rule of like no scrolling and no clicking, and instead even made some little extra doodads and gadgets that people would want to click at, right? When we think about what the Smithsonian is, not just a museum, not just a research center, but really a cultural laboratory, then we think that a fun laboratory would be something where you have all your little beakers and eyedrop tools and stuff like that to be able to play with. And we wanted the website to be something like that. And so along with all the different social nodes and ability to share things, we also created kind of a curator kit on the top right corner. And so little things that you can do that sometimes might be more fun than useful, but being able to like shift the opacity on the background images of the site so that if you're a user who doesn't like to be overwhelmed by big background images, you can dim it down. We also wanted to give people a chance to curate on the website. And so along with the collections items and along with the items within our exhibitions, websites, we also publish blogs, a bunch of different things that include media items. And so allowing people to save, download any item that they could find on the website and create collections from things that we as people at the Smithsonian might have never conceived to be things that they could see on their own. That really allows the user to kind of take the initiative. One of the things that we found was that with a lot of museum websites, you're presented with a collection section where you have thousands and thousands of items at your fingertips, which can be great, but also really overwhelming. And so by allowing the users to be the curators, if somebody came on our website, knew nothing about APAC, they could follow a collection that another user who was interested maybe in like everything that they found on the APAC website that involved like old school muscle cars, right? That way we can find kind of more nuanced ways for people to discover the items on our site without being overwhelmed by the big amount of data that we have on it. Another kind of back to the basics type of idea that we pursued is the idea of search. And so when people click on the search button, instead of it kind of staying on the top right and being something for you to just type a small piece of text into, we turned it into its own destination where people can be guided by popular searches that other users have found, where we can suggest pages that we would want people to go to, with the understanding that if somebody is clicking search, sometimes they're not looking for something specific. They're looking for what they're looking for. The question that they're asking is, what should I be looking for in the first place? With this, we're also collecting data for searches that don't return any results. So we know, for example, if a bunch of people are searching for, I don't know, information about Indian Americans riding in muscle cars, then we know that we should include more of that in the way that we go about our entire approach as a unit, not just with the website. And this is another example of what our exhibitions page, or a page for one of our exhibitions will be. This allows us to kind of revive a lot of the projects that we worked on in the past. So this is from an exhibition that was way back in 2007 at Air and Space. We can revive the images, create new ways to interact with stuff that's been long gone in the museum walls. Another concept that we're using to kind of string this whole idea together is the idea of Asian futurism. It's something that we've been pitching to Asian American organizations and arts institutes and artists throughout the country and throughout the world. The idea of, similar to Afrofuturism, how Asia futurism deals with situations that might seem like science fiction type of things, but things that we deal with as a community, being identified as aliens on the spot, right? Japan's fascination with robots and the future. So how does being a part of that discussion, how can we contribute to that discussion as a cultural institution? So just to kind of wrap it up, a couple of other digital projects that we're working on. Earlier this year, we had an exhibition at American History called I Want the White American Earth, which was great for the people who could get to DC. We worked with a bunch of comic book artists from throughout the country to put together this project. It's basically an e-comic version of it, and it can be downloaded, also viewed online, and eventually we'll also make it something that you can get at the iTunes bookstore. We're also working on a project called APA 101, and again, it's a very traditional approach, but a very new way of going about it. And so this exhibition is kind of a retelling of Asian American history with a focus on communities and experiences that you normally wouldn't see in the other types of similar exhibitions. This auto thing is messing me up. But anyway, so with this project, we're working with dozens of organizations throughout the country, and kind of, again, as a way to present Smithsonian as an institution that really wants to collaborate. And the way that we're doing that is by approaching every single exhibition from a collaborative standpoint, even before we start launching it on the web. The idea of crowdsourcing can exist as an ideal, regardless of whether or not we're implementing some kind of technology towards it. We're also doing pop-up museums in public spaces. This is from Silver Spring. We projected Asian and Latino art with the Smithsonian Latino Center. And another way to like creatively use digital technology to bring the stuff that Smithsonian is doing to the real world. And the last project I wanted to talk about is called A Day in the Life. It's a project that we're collaborating with Flickr on. They're kind of launching their answer to Instagram with 2-minute, allowing for 2-minute video uploads. And so we're working with Flickr to go throughout the world and find different aspects of Asian American culture and history to present. So yeah, that's about it. Thanks so much, guys.